Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 19th of September 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then, before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos. And of course, our JFD website and specifically our JFD research page, which you can always check out on a daily basis. And I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here. So, yep, feel free to visit us here on jfdbank.com and click on research tab here. So, yep, like I said, guys, feel free to check us out here. But right now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE 100. Now, I talked about the FTSE. I've talked about the FTSE this morning, basically, and what I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this upside support line. So as you can see, we've managed to rebound from it. We did have a bit of a breakthrough to the downside, but for us to consider the downside further declines, we needed a nice good drop below the 7,284 zone, and I talked about this level previously in one of my videos, but as you can see, the break never happened, and the index reversed and backed north. Now, that said, even though it is trying to climb higher still, for us to get comfortable with higher levels, at least in the short run here, we need to see that nice good break above the 7,380 zone before we could examine the next potential target near the 7,476 zone, 76, 77, approximately around there. So again, guys, for now, keep your eyes on some of these potential breakout points, even though, yes, we are trading still above this upside support line, a bit of a tentative one, but nevertheless an upside support line. But again, like I said, for better confirmation of the upside, we need to see that nice good break above the 7,380 zone, and then we could target slightly higher levels. In terms of the downside, again, I'll repeat myself, the 7,284 zone, that's what we need in order to consider a possible slide here towards slightly lower levels. Let's put it that way. Dow Jones Industrial Average, another quite interesting index, also something that I looked at previously, and for now it seems to be working out nicely. So previously, when I talked about the Dow Jones Industrial Average, what I was saying that we may see this one correcting back down, especially given the fact that it failed to push above this 27,306 zone. It's not far from its all-time high, but what I was also saying that if, let's say, this level here, the 27,070 area doesn't hold, the last resort for the bulls to step in would be around this upside support line taken from the low of the 23rd of August. Now, as you can see, we had a perfect hit of that upside line, and now the index is trying to reverse back to the upside here, trying to push higher. Of course, the index, this one is not open yet, but looking at the cash index right now, it is slightly above its yesterday's close. So in a way, there is a good possibility we could see this one pushing further north. But again, be very careful with that further north because, like I said, we are near the all-time highs, and that's around the 27,399 zone. So in a way, if this travels higher and breaks the highs of last week near the 27,307 zone, then yep, we will consider a possible test of this, the previous all-time high, and it will be very interesting to see if we could get a bit of a push above it or not, because if we do, then well, the index would be entering the uncharted territory, and well, for this one here, the sky would be the limit. So of course the big question here would be, could it go to the 28,000 or even 29,000, or even maybe the nice beautiful 30,000? But again, that's a bit of a long shot. So for now, guys, let's keep it short and simple. For now, let's see if it actually manages to reach the highs of last week near the 27,307. If it starts breaking that, then yep, we will aim for the all-time high, and then we'll take it from there. And then we'll see what he wants to do after. We'll see how it performs today, or even let's say tomorrow. That would be quite interesting to see. Maybe this move higher could, further move higher could be left for tomorrow. So that's why, guys, to be very careful if this suddenly starts dropping below this upside line. Now in this situation here, previously I've talked about this 26,720 zone as a potential breakout point to the downside. Of course, for those who are more on the conservative side, yes, this could still be that level for you to watch. But for those who are more a little, let's say, more on the riskier side, what you could do now here is look at this, the low of yesterday near the 26,900 zone. So a drop below this would, well, I mean, initially we would see a break of this upside line, and then a drop below the 26,900 level could in a way do the trick here for the bears, for the sellers. But like I said, for those who are more on the cautious side, wait for a drop below the 26,720 zone, and then we could aim for lower levels. Bitcoin, very quickly on this one, I looked at this one previously, and I talked about this one previously, recently, to be honest. And what I was saying that keep an eye on this potential kind of triangle formation, wait for a clear break, and this is what we got. So we got our break to the downside. We broke this upside line. We broke this 10,090 zone, and this crypto traveled lower. It reached our target here near the 9,814 zone, which is marked by the low of the 11th of September. But it also slightly overshot it, and but as you can see, all the 4-hour candles kind of managed to get back above this level. So this, you can see how strong this level is. So this 9,814, approximately around there, guys, how strong this level is. You can see that. And for now, of course, if we get another slide lower here, if we get another drop below the 9,814, then in a way there is a possibility maybe to see this one drifting further south. And further south, we have this potential target here near the 9,358.60 zone, approximately around there. And this is basically near the lows of the 29th of August, or in other words, the lowest point of August. So again, guys, very good potential target here. This one is, but in order for us to consider that one, we need to see a drop below the 9,814 level, or in a way you could round it up towards the 900 if you liked round numbers. So 9,800 level could be that breaking point for a further move lower. In terms of the upside, well, if this suddenly travels back above this this short-term tentative upside line again, of course this is where we will become a little bit neutral, because still for us to consider higher levels, ideally for now at this point in time, we need to see a push back above the 10,500 level, approximately around there, and only then we will aim for higher levels. For now, again, it seems that the upside could be slightly off the table on this one, but of course be very careful. In order to consider the downside, we need to see a drop below the 9,814 zone, and then we could aim for lower areas. Jumping into a few pairs, and very interesting pair I want to quickly run by you guys. Maybe you don't look at this one very often, but it's quite interesting, quite technical. Could be quite technical sometimes, and as you can see, this pair is kind of forming a nice descending triangle formation here. Of course, according to all the technical analysis textbooks, such formations tend to break to the downside. But again, we've seen several times this happening the opposite way. So that's why, guys, for now we're not going to speculate on this too much. We're going to just wait and see which of the highlighted areas here this one's going to break first. So if it starts breaking the 5.63 60 zone, approximately around there, if it starts breaking this key area of support, then yep, we will target slightly lower areas, maybe areas like the 5.52 zone, or even below that. But again, this would be our first target. If this decides to push through this short-term tentative downside resistance line and breaks above the 5.74 zone, then this could in a way open the path towards the highs that we saw here in the end of August, near the 5.85 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. AUDJPY, another quite interesting pair. So this morning, of course, we saw the increased yen buying during the Asian morning today. We saw the increased yen buying. So Australian dollar sold off as well. So in all this combination, we had a nice good slide here on AUDJPY. So I talked about this one previously, and I've talked about this one this week, where I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this potential barrier, this potential support barrier at 73.83 zone, which if broken could in a way open the path towards lower levels. Initially, one of our targets was met. One of the first of our targets was met near the 73.40 zone. But we were targeting also the 72.93 area right here. But as you can see, it got held here near this 200 EMA, and the rate is now getting a push back above this 73.40 zone. So again, for now, even let's say if this one decides to travel a little bit higher here, as long as it remains below the 73.83 zone here, we will remain somewhat bearish here, and we could see something like this happening here, where we could maybe see a curve, and if it fails, if the bulls fail to push this one back above the 73.83 zone here, then we could see this one curving and pushing back to the downside. So again, be very careful for now. If this one decides not to travel higher, decides not to kind of retrace even more here and decides to reverse earlier, well, watch the today's lows, and this is what you could be keeping a close eye on, and that's around the 73.11 zone. So that was the low of today, and if we see a drop below this, then yep, we could aim for areas like the 72.59 or even below that. So again, keep an eye on this one. For us to get comfortable with higher levels, we'll take a very conservative approach here and wait for a push above the 74.47 here, this zone, and this way a break of this level here would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could see more buyers jumping in and pushing this one higher. So that's why, guys, for now at this point in time, this is our upside scenario, and for now, like I said, we are more bearish than bullish, but let's see how this is going to play out. And we are keeping in our heads this idea of a potential correction a little bit more here, which could lead to another leg of selling. So keep your eyes on this one. GBPCHF sold off today. We had the Bank of England coming out with their interest rate decision. It stayed the same. We saw the pound here sliding a little bit against other major currencies, but looking at this particular pair, GBPCHF, we also had the SNB, the Swiss National Bank, coming out as well with the decision. And to be honest, I mean, the Swiss franc kind of took a nice kind of buying, it came under buying interest, let's put it that way. And looking at this picture here, GBPCHF took a slide and broke this one of its key areas of support, which was this upside line. So in this situation, and this is what I was talking about previously when I was covering GBPCHF, basically, given the fact that it's now has broken this upside line, we'll actually get rid of it, because for us, the more important aspect of this is the fact that it broke below the 1.2380 zone. So, and it's currently struggling to get back above this level. So this is going to be quite interesting to see, because if it stays here, if it stays below this 1.2380 zone, then there is a good chance we could see this one drifting further south. But just for that extra confirmation, as you can see by the arrow drawn here that I've got, just for that extra confirmation, a drop below the 1.23 zone here could in a way do the trick here for more sellers. Initially, like I said, given the fact that it broke already below the 1.2380, that already increases these chances, increases the chances for this one to drift a little bit lower. But for those who are more on the cautious side, you could in a way wait for a drop below the 1.23 zone. This way, the pair would also bring itself below its 50 EMA here, shown as the red line on the 4-hour chart, and we could see this one drifting further south, maybe towards the 200 EMA initially, and then we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do. But if this suddenly starts getting back above the 1.2380 zone, for us to get comfortable with higher levels, ideally we would like to see a push above this one right here, the 1.2448 zone. In a way could do the trick here for the buyers, and this break here in a way could attract more buying interest, and we could see the pair traveling towards the 1.2495 zone, which is marked by the high, or should I say near the high of the 2nd of July. And by the way, maybe actually this level has to be slightly adjusted. Now there we go, and that's going to be around the almost closer to the 1.25. So in a way, very good, nice psychological 1.25 level could be the target, but only if we see a push above the 1.2448 zone. Again, like I said, for now, we are going to be quite a little bit on the neutral side, maybe actually cautiously bearish even, because if it continues to stay below this 1.2380 zone, that's where, like I said, that's where more sellers could start joining in, and even more of those could start joining in if we see a drop back below the 1.23 level. So keep your eyes on these. EURGBP, the last one for this session, quite an interesting trend. So we're still to the downside, after finding good support near the 0.8824 zone, which is, by the way, the near the lows of the 3rd of June and near the low of the 6th of June as well. So from this area, the pair managed to rebound, pushed higher, but as you can see today, it failed to drive above the 0.8889 zone. So of course the day is not finished yet. In a way, it initially the idea here was that it might travel a little bit higher, test this downside line, and if it struggles to push above it, then we could see another leg of selling. So, but again, you can see that now the bears are really trying to push this one back down again. So we'll remain here at this point, we'll remain somewhat neutral, because in order for us to consider lower areas, ideally we would like to see a drop below the 0.8824 zone here, and then we will aim for areas like the 0.88 zone itself, and another good potential area of support could be seen around here. And let me just quickly put this one on the chart, and that's around here near the low of the 27th of May, and that's approximately around the 0.8788 zone. So good, also good potential target here, guys. Keep your eyes on this one. I do understand it's very close, but let's keep it short and simple. Again, don't get me wrong, it might, if it continues drifting lower, then one of these targets could be met as well. The 0.8723, that's basically the low of the 21st of May, around there. And again, like I said before, we could consider all these lower areas. We need to see a drop below the 0.8824 zone, and then we will aim for all these lower levels that I've just mentioned. in terms of the upside here, again, if this, let's say, decides today to push, or maybe tomorrow to push above the 0.8889, yes, we will aim for slightly higher levels, but only up until this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 9th of August. And here we'll keep it, we'll have a look at it again, because if it struggles to push above this, then we may see another round of selling from here. But if it starts getting a break, if we see some cracks in this line and we see the rate traveling above the 0.8975 zone here, then there is a good possibility we could maybe see the pair drifting back up here initially towards the psychological 0.90 level, but then it could aim all the way here towards the 0.91 and above. But again, like I said, for now, it seems that the upside could be slightly off the table. We're looking more to the downside. The only question here is, will this actually travel to the downside straight away and drops below the 0.8824 level, or actually will it take a little bit of a rise here and let's say struggle to overcome this downside line and then sell off? So the only thing is, what you could do right now is, for those who are more on the cautious side, you could in a way wait for a drop below the 0.8824 zone, and then a break below this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and yep, we could aim for lower areas. For those who are more on the riskier side, probably don't do anything yet. Wait for, let's say, if it decides to push back above the 0.8889 zone, keep an eye on this downside line. If it struggles to push above it, then we could maybe see this one drifting back to the downside, especially, let's say, if it climbs above this 0.8889, tests the downside line, and then falls back again below the 0.8889, and this is where it could become quite interesting for the sellers again. So keep your eyes on this one. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me tomorrow morning, as always, at my Trader's Espresso, and that's 6 o'clock GMT time for now. I hope you have a beautiful evening, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.